Okay, I have everybody's connection on mute, but we'll have time for talking and questions and answers at the end. If you don't have an audio connection where you can ask questions and you have a question, you can send it through the chat window, or you can also email Tish at letitia@diaperbanknetwork.org, which is in the chat window. And I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm recording this, and I'll make it available afterwards on YouTube like we normally do with our webinars and other chats. So today we're going to be talking about the Funds for Change grant, and this is going to be kind of a general overview with opportunities for questions and discussion afterward. And we're going to focus mainly on the micro funding grant, but if anybody has questions about the other two awards, you can let me know, and we can either talk about it separately, or if there's other additional questions that we decide we want to have another chat session next Friday, we can do that too. We're not going to get into the technical aspects of the grant because this is a unique situation in that we're providing the grant. So we can't answer all of your questions in terms of what should I say in my grant or how should I write my budget, but we can certainly direct you to resources and give you some pointers. So we're going to just go over who should apply for the grant and what does it mean to be eligible, and then I want to give you a quick snapshot of the application, and then we'll do a walkthrough of the actual application. So in terms of who should apply for the application, this is kind of a unique opportunity for our members because the only people who are eligible for this grant are members in good standing. So it should be clear to everybody if you are or are not a member in good standing, but you should certainly check with us if you're not sure. When you became a member, you provided proof of your nonprofit status, and you also signed a letter, an NDVN letter of agreement, and we have those on file. We will also check your nonprofit status with the IRS if you are given a grant, because we can't give you money if something has happened and that status has been revoked. The other thing that makes a member in good standing is to submit your annual reports. And we have kind of gone through not too long ago and checked everybody, so you should be good. If you became a member within the last year or in 2014 and you've never done an annual report, you should be fine. But if you think you became a member earlier than that, you may want to give us a call or send us an email. The other two things that you need to be eligible is that you need to be able to provide a budget for your program, and you need to have existing matching funds in the amount of the award that you're requesting. And this grant is for an award up to $2,500. And we'll get into that in a little bit. And then the third thing to be eligible for a grant is that you have to submit the entire application online, including all of the support documents. So you want to be able to look through the grant and make sure that you know how to do that well in advance. In addition to being eligible, I want to also say that not everyone who is eligible is grant ready, and that's okay. There's a resource that I think Tish sent out to everyone. It's on the Google group. It's on our website. It's a checklist that's called Are You Grant Ready? And it's pretty ambitious. I wouldn't expect most of our members to be able to, off the top of their head, answer all these questions. But it's a good indicator of where your strengths are and areas where you could really improve and collect data and work on being more grant ready and more competitive in terms of how you demonstrate how competent your diaper bank is in serving its community to organizations and potential funders who may not know who you are. So although this grant is coming from the National Diaper Bank Network and we know who you are, you really want to fill out the grant as though we don't know who you are. And don't expect us to go to your website and read about your staff or the population that you serve. You should be able to put that information into your answers in order to create a comprehensive and concise grant proposal. So having said that, if you're not sure if you're grant ready or how competitive your grant application is, I would say if this is new to you, this is your first time, you really should take advantage of this learning opportunity to go ahead and try to put together a grant application to the best of your ability. You might not get the grant, but you'll have work that we can then, after this grant cycle, work with you on, and we can help you produce a more competitive grant. We can help you search for grants. So if you're not quite sure, try your best, and if you're eligible, go ahead and submit an application. The next thing I want to point out is just an overview of how this grant works, and I have 4 web-based screenshots up on the screen. The first one is the website that everybody kind of goes to as the home base, which is the Fund for Change Grant Opportunities website. And then number 2, that's the grant guides and the questions that are available for you to download for each grant as a PDF. Number 3 is the grant application website. And then number 4 is online resources. You will be doing a lot of online searching and looking for information about budgets and how you can go and Google about outcomes or evaluating a grant proposal. But we have a lot of that information available right on our website at the Diaper Bank resources page. There are sample budgets and checklists and reference guides that are very useful. The second kind of overview thing that I just want to make everybody aware of is that you might have gone to the website where the grant is, where the actual form is, and you should be aware that there's a page 2. You can't get to page 2 until you complete all the questions in page 1. And page 2 is just where you're going to be uploading all of the documents. If you went and you looked and you kind of had an idea of, everything that you need to provide, you might have missed that. If you want to go into the website and save your progress and resume that later, you can. So you put in your email address and you'll be able to save it for later. You can just put in the word hold or a little bit of text to fill in each line if you want to progress to the next page, but you have to have something in each of them. So next, I would like to take you over to the actual grant so that you guys can see it as I'm walking you through it. So this is right here. This is the web page where you're going to be putting in the information. Once you've assembled all of your answers and gotten all your documents together, you're going to go to the tsaforms.com link and start putting in your information. So they're kind of broken down into sections. The first section is contact information. The second is the background information. And then your proposal. And then down here at the bottom is your page 2 where you're going to be putting in all of your required documents. So I started filling all of this information in for a hypothetical diaper bank, and my hypothetical diaper bank is called Bundles of Munchkins Diaper Bank. It's located in the Emerald City, and I have my contact information in. I only have a first name for my primary contact, so I guess I'll put Glenda Goodwitch. The second section, so hopefully the contact information is pretty straightforward for everybody. The second section, which is the background information, I just want to pause here for 1 second to kind of let you guys know what's going on here, because it's a little bit different from how we did it last year. Last year we asked people what they would like money to spend their funds on, and this year we're asking people to do a little bit more and prepare a proposal based on a type of support that they need. So the background information that we're asking for is the date that your diaper program was established, your mission statement, and then we ask you to choose from 3 terms that best describes your organization's work. So these are terms that we use internally to understand how each organization fits into our network. You might be a little diaper pantry that operates out of a church, and you might have the word diaper bank in your name, but that doesn't, for this purpose, just look at the descriptions and choose which one fits best. And the reason that we do that is because most grants will ask for background information. They'll ask you to write a narrative telling them a little bit of history about your organization. And since we do already know a lot of you, this is just a way of setting the stage. This is the foundation of the proposal. So how old your organization is, your mission statement, and the definition of whether you're a diaper bank or a program within a larger organization, that helps the reader understand what we would expect your budget to look like. You might have a small budget if you're part of a small new diaper program, but if you're part of a larger organization like Junior League or United Way, you might have a larger budget, and that's fine, but this just helps set the stage for what we're going to get into next. And then we ask if you file a Form 990 with the IRS or if your organization has a fiscal sponsor. I want to pause right here and just kind of point out the 990s. I put in this page from GuideStar because I think it's really useful to understand that grantors learn about your organization by looking at your 990, but also you can learn about the grantor or the place where you're applying for grants by going and reading their 990s, and you can learn a lot about other nonprofit organizations and diaper banks. So while you're doing this grant, if it's your first time or even if it's not your first time, going to GuideStar and reading through their FAQs about the Form 990 is really useful. There's a lot of useful information there, like how do I read a 990? So, okay, going back to the grant application. The background information, that should be pretty straightforward, and then you get into the proposed plan for the grant funding. So for my hypothetical situation, I'm applying for a grant to help me set up a volunteer management program. And I started out writing my proposal and thinking about the components that would be in a volunteer program. And I started out thinking that I would like to renovate the space where the volunteers work, and I'll need to develop program materials, and I'll need to plan out a calendar of events for recruitment and retention. And so I checked off at the top that the type of support I was looking for was volunteer management. But then I started thinking, well, it's $2,500 and I might be able to do more with more, so I'm going to ask for more. And I started thinking that I might be interested in researching an app or some kind of software for volunteer tracking. So I went ahead and, it's the first week of my hypothetical grant application, so I checked that other box for information technology up here for that reason. So the next few questions get into the questions about your plan. It could be a project or it could be for your diaper bank in general. And it's number 3, describe your project or program. And you're going to want to go between these questions and sort of write and move things around based on your program. What is the timeline? What are the indicators that you're going to use to measure the progress? And what are your anticipated outcomes? I would suggest that you write all of these kind of thinking about them together and then go back and think about, does each question make sense? Have I made the best use of each of these questions in the space that I have to provide more information about my diaper bank? You might think that an application for something, if you're going to be buying storage shelves because you want to use the grant to set up storage space, you might think that there's not really a timeline involved in that. You're just going to go buy the equipment and set it up and it's going to be done. But try to think of a way to use each opportunity and each question to really emphasize your diaper bank and talk about, if you can't talk about a specific timeline, in terms of the project that you're working on. You can always kind of step back and talk in a more general way about you know, how this is going to be useful for your program overall. So you might not require a timeline for your storage shelves, but you might be able to talk about how it's going to open up the space and address a need that your diaper bank has had, or a problem such as not having enough space to meet with clients or space to have volunteers work, and now that's going to have a subsequent effect on other areas that aren't specific to actually buying the shelves. Let's see. Down at number 9 and number 10 is where you get to the point of talking about the amount of funds that you're requesting and also demonstrating that you have matching funds. So matching funds can be a letter documenting that the funds exist from an accountant. It could be a bank statement, a photocopy of your bank statement that demonstrates that you have those funds available. Or it could also be a letter of commitment from a donor or another organization that says that if you get this grant from NDBN for $2,500, that this organization is committed to donating whatever is necessary to bring you up to those matching funds. The matching funds don't have to be used for the project that you're proposing. It's just because we want to see that NDBN is not providing more than 50% of your overall funding. And it shows that others believe in your project, and it also addresses the issue of sustainability. And it also shows that you're collaborating and that you have other stakeholders in the project. The budget that you need to upload, we provide a template, and we strongly suggest that you use the template. There's samples available at our website, and you can go in and look at them. If you're part of a larger organization or an established organization and you have a template that you already use that makes sense and is logical, it's fine with us if you want to upload that. The other thing I would say about budgets is that we have a webinar called Budget and Forecasting, and that is available on YouTube, and it's a really useful, clear budget webinar that's specific to diaper banks. So if you've never done a budget before, you should check that out. Some of you might be wondering, in the documents required, you're required to provide a board letter certifying independence. This is a sample of what it literally is what it is asking for. And there's a sample right here. It just basically is certifying independence of the governing body and asks for the largest donor and the percentage of that donation in the overall budget. You do not have to have partner agencies, and you're not required to submit a template listing partner agencies, but if you do use partner agencies, we ask that you provide a list of them and the contact information. The other two required documents that are important to keep in mind are the letters of support. Normally in a grant, you're going to provide letters of support that obviously are going to be recommendations about your diaper bank and the program that you're writing about in your grant. But I would also encourage you, when you're choosing who writes your letter of support, to think back to Diaper Need Awareness Week and think about what kind of relationships you've established over the last few months, maybe some contacts that you want to keep warm as you were obtaining your proclamations or running diaper drives or being introduced to other people in the community. You should take the opportunity to go ahead and use this request for a letter of support to meet with somebody for coffee, or just take an opportunity to kind of talk with them about the fact that you are eligible to get this grant and you're applying for it. So for the letters of support, that's why we ask for those. It's nice when people donate money also. You should not be worried about asking for letters of support because in a way it's flattering, and somebody who does a lot might be flattered to be asked for a letter of support for the diaper bank. And I also put in a PS at the bottom because a lot of people don't realize that this is a learning opportunity in the future if you're writing a grant and you need a letter of support and you think that a letter from the National Diaper Bank Network might support and strengthen your grant application, by all means, go ahead and ask us for a letter of support. The grant deadline is midnight Eastern Time, Thursday, November 12th. So I want to remind everyone that you should schedule your next few weeks carefully and make sure that you get those letters of support on time. If you need to talk to your board about your budget or anything like that, you'll want to have that scheduled, and then also have another person proofread your work and check it for, make sure that your language is clear and that there are no spelling typos. So with that, I'm going to open up the, take everybody off mute. If it gets really loud, I might mute a couple people, so just send me a note.
Mary, the policy is next door. How long have you been doing before? Yeah, because, oh, yeah. Well, all right, we're going to be, something that if we need to take care of.
Figure out who that is. I think I can't.
Be died. No, I know. Not that you get divorced, but.
Ooh. I think I got it. Okay, everybody. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. You mentioned letter of support. I wasn't 100% clear on that. Did you say that we can get a letter of support from the National Diaper Bank Network? Or should we
in the future. In the future, not for this grant. So because this grant is a learning opportunity, and because we're providing the grant, I just wanted to point out that if you're writing a grant and you're requested for letters of support and you provide a local one and you feel that getting a letter from the National Diaper Bank Network that says that you're a member in good standing and that you follow best practices, and, you know, we can give a national perspective in terms of how you're doing as a diaper bank, and I just wanted to use that opportunity. But you can't get a letter of support for this grant from us.
Okay, well, I think what it is I just want to make sure, are you saying our supporters?
It's a letter of recommendation, and it can be from a donor, it can be from one of your partner agencies, it can be from another nonprofit organization, community that you work with, or somebody that's aware of the work that you do.
Okay. It's more clear now.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you can also Google letters of support if you do like nonprofit grant letters of support. You can see some samples.
I think my question was, shall I ask? Because we're fairly new. We launched this year, and so I mean we have gotten some support, but I just want to be clear on who we should get the letter from. So it's clear now, so I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
So you keep referencing that this grant is a learning opportunity, which I think is fabulous. For those of us who received the grant last year, which we appreciated, are we still eligible to apply this year, and will it be overlooked if we received it last year? And I guess
no, you're absolutely encouraged to apply for it, and you would be in no way overlooked.
Okay, thank you. Because it is a lot of work, and we just didn't know if we should put in the work since we were graciously, awarded.
There's no emphasis on first-time grant applicants, and there's no priority for people who have never received a grant before over people who have received grants.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Does anybody else have questions?
Yes, this is Carly from Baby Buggy. A quick question. Are you guys considering organizations of all sizes?
Yes, we are. And we would prefer to fund a variety of size grants. You know, certainly the larger ones, if the larger grants that got a grant last year are welcome to apply for the larger award, that one is you know, the pool of members who are eligible for it is much smaller, but planning ahead, if you think that you might be able to apply next year for a program demonstration award, those are $10,000. And if you think that you might be interested in applying for that next year, then I would encourage you to apply for the smaller microfunding grant this year, because that's a requirement to be a previous recipient of the grant. Does that make sense?
Thank you. That answers my question. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Okay.
How many of the microgrants will be given out?
Last year we gave out 61, and this year I would say it depends on what we receive. Because we have 3 different funding opportunities, we don't have really set targets for each category. But last year we gave out 61.
I also have a question whenever you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
We are with Dub for You, also in Connecticut, but we focus only on content briefs for the elderly. You consider us a diaper pantry. Applying for the grant, I know majority of the National Diaper Bank, it focuses on for babies. I mean, are you accepting the fact that we're just very, very limited in, you know, our population being, you know, 65 and also, you know, the disabled?
Absolutely, we would accept that. If you're a member of our network, you're welcome and just as eligible as anybody else so your application would be based on, you know, our evaluation of how you answer the questions and provide the information and can use the funds.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
Could you clarify a little bit more about not providing over 50% of the funds? What you mean by that?
Sure. So many grants ask for cost sharing or matching funds, and cost sharing is a little bit different because that applies directly to the project that you're proposing. But matching funds is when a grantor asks you to have the same amount of funds available. So we don't want to be the sole source of your finances, of your you know, your cash income. And I would say if there's a new diaper bank that can only demonstrate funds of $2,000, you can request a grant that is for less than the award amount of $2,500. But you just want to make sure that you demonstrate that you have those matching funds of $2,000 and write your budget and your program accordingly.
Okay, so that would be how much is actually in your bank account?
It's what's in your bank account, yep. You can also, if you work with other organizations and you can get a letter of commitment from someone that they're going to donate and match those funds, we would accept that as well.
Okay, thank you.
So some diaper banks have in the past used that as an opportunity to leverage an additional donation. Does anyone else have questions?
Excuse me, I have just one question. The deadline is November 12th. Is there a time deadline for that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
Okay, the deadline to submit the grant is November the 12th.
Right.
My question is there a time deadline for November the 12th?
Yes, it's 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Okay.
When we do our budget, because we're a new diaper pantry, and when I do create my budget and modify it a little bit, should I be doing that as if we were awarded the funds, or what we would go as with what we have?
Go with your board-approved budget. You can do it for your board-approved budget for this year. And if you look at the template that we provide, there's one column that asks for information pertaining to your program or your pantry budget, and then the next column over is for the actual project. Okay. And there's some information on the Diaper Bank resources page on our website that that talks about writing your budget and making assumptions and sort of estimating out into the future. And so typically an applicant would put in, so they would put in grants that they have commitments for or donations that they have commitments for. That's kind of like your top tier because you know you're getting those. And then you might list underneath that pending.
Okay. Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have questions? Okay, well, I want to remind everyone, thank you very much. Those are all really useful questions. And since I've recorded this, I'm going to make it available. I'm sure other people that were not able to attend this conversation will take advantage of the opportunity to watch it. And I would also suggest that if you're, as you're going through it and you want to email questions to me at susan@diaperbanknetwork.org, you can do that, and if we get enough of questions that are similar or a need to kind of go over other information, I don't have any problem with having another chat session if people like the idea of kind of getting together and making sure that you're on the right page. Or if you want to call and ask some individual questions, that's fine too. So last chance for questions. Okay, if not, you know where to find me. Thanks, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Person